You ever had seen one of those cartoons where you've seen it so much as a kid that you forgot about it when you were an adult and it was shoved into the back of your mind? Or have you ever seen a very, very old cartoon that has scared you as a kid and you forgot about it? Well, it's not long until this guy brought it up and said, "Hey, remember these cartoons?" Well, I was thinking I should do a couple of videos talking about those forgotten cartoons or very scary cartoons. We're going to analyze how cool they are and how dark they are, or forgotten and really creative it was. So, we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and look at forgotten tunes, strange adult humor, and other tunes that I cannot remember of, or any movies too. So, let's take a look at forgotten tunes. You know what's better than bad Disney movies? Mickey Mouse on the verge of being hacked into a million pieces. The Mad Doctor was released in 1933 and was so dark and so intense that it was actually banned in several parts of Europe for being too intense. So I'm very excited to do this. So the tune starts out with Mickey and Minnie showing the title. They're like, "Yeah, this is going to be a grand adventure. Fuck that shit, here's a thunderstorm." So basically, Mickey is sleeping through a thunderstorm, and then he hears kind of a crash and like a laugh. He like comes up to the window. He's like, "Oh shoot, Pluto's gone." He's like, "He's gone." So basically, this is when Walt Disney was still doing Mickey's voice. He did his voice up until the late 50s and early 60s. I think that was the last time he ever did Mickey's voice until he passed away. Sad day. So he's following the footsteps of Pluto, and while Pluto, he's like being dragged through the woods by the doctor, Mickey's following this guy's humanized footsteps, and we come to a castle, which to me it looks really, really cool because this would look like something from a cursed Mickey Mouse episode or whatever it says. Not says though, but this was a banned Mickey Mouse cartoon, so this is pretty impressive. And basically, Pluto is getting dragged, and we see the sign Dr. Triple X. Sadly, this character was never used in any Disney property, nor movies, nor shorts, nothing. But he was used in some board games and video games, so hey, at least he got his place in the world. So while Mickey's trying to find him, he like hears these not sees, but like behind him, like the steps are coming down, or like the bridge is coming down slowly. And he comes to the door and tries to like unlock the door, but then he gets dragged through the door by the supernatural. So he goes into the classroom and he sees like the door lock on its own. Well, he almost gets cut by these knives. He's looking through Pluto and we see these bats coming out at the screen. Now these bats were used 3 times. One in the haunted house, one in this one, and the one in the skeleton dance. Or the dancing skeletons. So what's happening is that like Pluto's getting dragged through the lab, and we can see like all the stuff there. You see these scientific stuff, or like my first beaker like set, or like a scientific set. And while he's doing that, Mickey's trying to chase him. Well, not chase, but like searching for Pluto in the hallways, like tiptoeing to how the music is. Now, count how many video games have done stuff in the hallways. There's always an endless amount of video games that have done like fights or shootouts in the hallway. So that's really clever. And Mickey gets like scared by like a falling brick and falls down the slide. Then he sees the shadow and he's surrounded by these 2 demons. What I think clever about this is that he looks at the fireplace. It's like, oh, it's nothing. It's just statues and how like the place of it is. Then he gets burned by the fire and comes to a dark area. He can't see, so he flicks the light up in his hand, and he sees the clock there. Then a skeleton blows it out, and Mickey is like trying to see, but then like he almost gets captured by the skeleton. So what happens is that like Mickey's trying to search Pluto through the stairs, and we can tell that it's clever that there's a monster up on every single step. It's like there's one with like the one that's like kind of like the stool for like the stairs or something. And we see like each different skeleton is unique. There's one with a mouth, there's one with gums, there's one with an upper teeth. Just a unique set of skeletons, I would say. So Pluto gets in a chair, and we see that it's the Mad Doctor. And there's also this chicken thing that also cries. So what the doctor does is like, yo, I capture you. So then he turns on the thing, and we see Pluto's skeleton and heartbeat. And then the Mad Doctor does this weird-ass little dance. He does that. So what he's like, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut up you guys and put you together. So basically, he's going to cut off the head of chicken and the head of Pluto, and he's going to put it in the chicken's body. So Pluto is like, he's terrified by this. His heart is literally in his throat, or is about to jump out of his throat. So then the doctor's like, and this is the great experiment. He's going to have them poop out an egg into life. And what they do here is that they do a close-up of the doctor like, that's what I love about Pluto's Judgment Day, is that they also do the exact same thing with the prosecutor, but this one, it's the Mad Doctor. So then Pluto, like, he yells, like, it's over for me. And basically, like, so Milk is like, oh, shoot, Pluto's in trouble. I gotta go find him. And he meets some other skeletons, but then he runs into an elevator full of skeletons, and they're like throwing their heads at them. Tell me how many video games have had skeletons throw their own heads. This is really clever, to be honest. And he's like going up the ladder while almost all that happened. He goes inside the ribcage of a skeleton and comes face to face. Now, people would say this is really cool, but to a kid, that's kind of terrifying. Going inside the ribcage and being face to face with the skeleton is really, really cool. So what he does is that he goes into the elevator, gets chased by a bunch of skeletons throwing their heads at them. He then comes to a spider-like skeleton, and like he gets caught in its web. And what they do here is that the skeleton spider traps Mickey through its like legs. This is what they do in another short that I'm probably going to do called Gulliver Mickey in 1934, where this like spider like traps him through his legs, and he has to punch him out. So while that's happening, here's the scene everyone remembers. The Mad Doctor cuts up, like, Pluto's shadow, and that's what did it. That's what got all the kids running out the aisle, like, oh my god, what even is this? And even the adults will be like, ugh. So this is a very intense cartoon, I would say. So while this happens, Mickey comes across the door and tries to, like, open it, but there's, like, several other doors. And then he, like, finds the door that's actually there. So what he does is that he's going to like run through the door to try to burst in, but the door opens by itself, and he comes through this chair, and the chair drags him through. Then, through the power of supernatural, it like ties him up. Then he sees the Mad Doctor, and the Mad Doctor is going to activate something. Then we see like that's the funniest part, just like a swifting thing above Mickey's stomach. That's funny. So the Mad Doctor then, like, he activates the saw that's gonna chop him in half. And what's funny is that the saw is, like, wiggling, like, around and needs to be tightened out properly. Now, people would say that Pluto's shadow got the cartoon banned. It's this scene that got this cartoon banned. So, and also, it's a dream. So, as long as you tell it's a dream, you can get whatever the fuck you want. So then, basically, Mickey is so into the dream that he like looks for Pluto, and Pluto's there. You know what would have been funny is that Mickey would be like, hey Pluto, why's your shadow cut in half? It would have been funny if you really think about it. So there you go. That's Mickey Mouse and the Mad Doctor. Not arguably, but this is very creative. Not creepy, but this has the classic horror movie tropes that they would use every single time. I think Pluto's Judgment Day is much darker than this. So, what I have to say, the Mad Doctor was released in 1933, and it's also getting public domain, which is really, really cool because, honestly, all jokes aside, this is way better than bad Disney movies.